do you know about Eglon?
I collect spores, molds, and fungus.
No, not Egon, Eglon. His name means calf-like the golden one we read about in Exodus. And it's a fitting name. Eglon was the king of Moab. We read about him in Judges 3. So the Israelites had fallen away from God, again, worshipping Baals, Asherahs, participating in the idolatry of the nations that they never really got around to clearing out. So, since they were ready to serve these false gods, God gave them over to the oppressive rule of this king. Actually, there is one character in Ghostbusters that Eglon reminds me of.
Oh, disgusting blob.
Or even better, this handsome fella. Here's what the Bible has to say about King Eglon. Eglon, king of Moab, who was a very fat man. Hold on, it's 2016. We don't do fat shaming. Why even bring this up? Fair enough, but the Bible doesn't struggle with body image the same way that we do in our culture. It's true, we seem to only put the thinnest models on the covers of our magazines, and even then we feel the need to touch them up with Photoshop. We pronounce judgment on the overweight at every opportunity.
What are you at, getting terribly fat? What do you think will come of that?
I don't like the look of it.
But that's not what's going on in Scripture. Actually, when fat is mentioned, it's usually a good thing, a compliment. The fat portions are the good ones. When Daniel and his friends go vegetarian, they are described as looking better and fatter than the others. Fat isn't the problem here, but Eglon was very fat, and the people were suffering. This is a man who had grown fat on the suffering of others, the suffering of God's people. So the Israelites turned from God. They rejected the gift of following him. They rejected the gift of the land. They worshipped idols, and they got Eglon. So he swept in and he set up his palace in Jericho. Yeah, that Jericho. The town where God had handed them the promised land was now in the hands of this guy. You laugh now, Eglon, but after 18 years, the people cry out, and not to idols, to the living God. And God answers. He raises up a judge to set them free from Eglon's oppression. He raises up Ehud. Ehud is intense. And he has a plan. He's scheduled to deliver the tribute to the king, and then he's going to kill Eglon. There's something that Eglon and his soldiers don't know about Ehud.
And what is that?
I am not left-handed.
I'm not left-handed either.
Maybe they aren't, but Ehud is. Left-handed, that is. And that's what made his plan work. Again, the Israelites cried out to the Lord, and he gave them a deliverer, Ehud, a left-handed man, the son of Gera the Benjamite. The Israelites sent him with tribute to Eglon, king of Moab. Now Ehud had made a double-edged sword about a cubit long, which he strapped to his right thigh under his clothing. Okay, so most of the swords at that time were curved, sort of like this one. You'd wear it on your left hip and draw it with your right hand. Yeah! Then use it as a slashing weapon. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Ehud's sword was different. Straight, two-sided, better for stabbing. Ha! And he strapped it to his right leg, not his left. It was definitely shorter than this one. Because he would use it with his left hand. And there's such beautiful irony here. Remember, Benjamin means son of my right hand. So Ehud was a left-handed son of my right hand. God uses people in such unexpected ways. Eglon certainly never saw God's justice coming. Ehud went back to Eglon and said, "Your Majesty, I have a secret message for you." The king said to his attendants, "Leave us." and they all left. Ehud then approached him while he was sitting alone in the upper room of his palace and said, "I have a message from God for you." As the king rose from his seat, Ehud reached with his left hand, drew the sword from his right thigh, and plunged it into the king's belly. Even the handle sank in after the blade, and his bowels discharged. Ehud did not pull out the sword, and the fat closed in over it. So he stabs the king. Ha! And the sword disappears. Worst magic trick ever. And then Eglon... Yuck. Imagine the scene. No, just don't imagine the scene. The king who lived stuffing himself as others suffered is, well, emptied out as he dies. But the story's not over. Then Ehud went out to the porch. He shut the doors of the upper room behind him and locked them. After he had gone, the servants came and found the doors of the upper room locked. They said, "He must be relieving himself in the inner room of the palace." Okay, as gross as it is, it's a little funny. And it's supposed to be. The king was revealed for what he truly was. This great king was really just a big pile of, well, you know. Why did God let the Israelites fall to someone like that in the first place? But that's the whole point. They chose it. They turned to idols. They put their faith in golden calves. Eglon is a picture for us of what idolatry truly is. When we give our hearts to those other things, we are trading a relationship with the God of the universe for something, well, something that I don't feel comfortable saying in church.
3PO, you tell that slimy piece of worm-ridden filth he'll get no such pleasure from us, right?
I couldn't have put it better myself. So why do they keep turning to these things? Why do we? God is inviting us into a better world. God's kingdom, a life without all this filth. But we keep going back to it. That's what happened in Israel, and God sent Ehud to put an end to Eglon, to take back the kingdom. "Follow me," he ordered, "for the Lord has given Moab, your enemy, into your hands." So they followed Ehud down and took possession of the fords of the Jordan that led to Moab. They allowed no one to cross over. At that time they struck down about 10,000 Moabites, all vigorous and strong. Not one escaped. Eglon, his army, and his oppressive reign was no more.
Let's go, and don't forget the droids. Run away!
That day, Moab was made subject to Israel, and the land had peace for 80 years. That's why Jesus came. That's what the cross and the empty tomb are all about. We are free from that stuff. You don't have to go back there anymore. Whatever it is in your story, all those things that have so much power over you, you need to recognize that stuff for what it is and put it where it belongs. And don't forget to flush. Step into the victory. God has already won. Eglon is dead, and we have the promise of the kind of life we were created for, serving the God who loves us to the end of the earth and beyond. Grace and peace.